Are you ready to take your business to the top? Well, strap in and hold on tight. You're listening to the Top of the Wall podcast from Red Wall Marketing. Business and marketing strategies to lift you above the competition and over the wall of mediocrity. Now, here's your host, J.R. Griggs.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Top of the Wall podcast. This is episode 8, I believe. And today I've got kind of a special podcast for you guys today. I am in Ybor City, which is, if you're not familiar, a really cool part of Tampa that a lot of people don't know of. But it's an amazing little area, and that is where the headquarters of Social Forces is, which is a social media advertising agency. And I am with the CEO and co-founder, Kate Whatley, who is going to tell us a little bit about herself and Social Forces as a company and kind of what they see for social media and how it can help you in your business. Really excited about this interview because these guys, I've known them for about 5 years, 2009. Yeah. And I think we all got started at the same time. Met at Isaiah Fest, and it was just kind of a cool thing to see them grow into what they've become and how they've done with their company. And I've been super excited to follow them and see how they build the structure with their employees. So I want to make sure I get them on record and their knowledge of growing a company and social media. So, Kate, you ready to do this?
Thanks for having me, JR. Well, it's an exciting time to be talking to you, and this week in particular, it's a really exciting time for social. There was another reporter called me up yesterday to ask about what all the crazy things that are going on in social right now with Facebook and Twitter both coming out with really positive Q2 earnings reports and their stock shooting up, and he wanted to discuss how exciting it is from an investor standpoint, but also that there must be something else going on in social right now that's making this such an exciting time in terms of advertising, and there certainly is. We certainly believe there is.
Yeah, and that's didn't Zuckerberg just become like the richest man or something with that stock jump? It was something crazy.
I know
80 points.
They're double their IPO at this point.
So I did have a client ask me if they missed the Facebook. And he's like, "Did I miss that?" I was like,
a little bit.
It looks like you missed it. I think that the cool thing is that for me, Facebook and Twitter seem like they're still in diapers. As much as people think that Facebook's often, I think you keep hearing it's dying. Mm-hmm. I think it's maybe it's getting some acne. Maybe it's hitting teenage.
Maybe. I mean, it's really cool. So we're social media network agnostic, but we do a lot of work in Facebook. So I tend to have more perspective on what's going on with Facebook than Twitter, just because of the types of clients that I work with and what they've gravitated towards. And in the last year, since Facebook had their IPO, the amount of opportunities that they've created for marketers is just completely incredible. I mean, they're always making changes, and for people like us that are putting together campaigns, and if we, there's usually like a 90-day turnaround time on our campaigns because there's so many different approval processes and all that. So it's a little challenging because we have to pivot our strategy sometimes in the middle of the campaign because Facebook cancels a certain ad type or
changes the rules.
Changes the rules. It happens all the time. Welcome to my life. But every change that they've made has been really positive, in my opinion, from a marketing standpoint. And they've added so many different marketing opportunities, which has meant that they've been adding so many different revenue streams for themselves. And now, even though their ad platform, in my opinion, blows away anything else that's out there, not only can you target geographically and demographically, but the ability to target psychographically based on what those consumers are thinking and what we know about them. If people only knew. And it's our responsibility to use that information for good and not evil. I want to talk about that. We'll talk about that in a second. But even with what they have out already, which completely knocks the socks off anything else, there are still so many additional opportunities that I think that they have yet to even get into. Like mobile is growing with them. I think in the last quarter, ad revenue for mobile increased 160% or something like that. But still, there's so many things that I don't think they've gotten into yet with mobile, and it's very exciting. It's a very exciting time to be in this.
When I explain to family, friends, or business owners what can be targeted on Facebook, there's usually a look of shock.
Right, and fear.
Concern about it and what they know. And for businesses, I don't think there's been a better time to be looking at social media if you know what you're doing, of course.
Yeah. It's, I mean, you can kind of go in there and plug around, in the ad platform and spend $25, and you probably won't be blown away, but you'll at least have gotten your feet wet. Or you can work with somebody that has been involved with the platform for a while and have them show you just all the incredible different things that can be done. It's really exciting. This is why I got into this business. This is why I left my traditional advertising.
Yeah, actually, I'd like to talk about that. If we could back up, you and Carl were at the same ad agency, right?
We were both at agencies in Tampa. We were both
different
at
agencies.
different, but both traditional advertising agencies. And we were back in late 2008, early 2009, just watching and observing what was going on, what was starting to happen in social, and getting really excited about it. We both individually pitched getting more into social with our agencies, and long story short, decided that what we really needed to do was just
go do it
yeah. and just be a part of creating what the next phase of advertising was going to.
It was a fad back then.
It was
fad.
Yeah, I remember that. I'm pretty sure my last agency principal thought it was a fad.
Yeah,
I love him though.
Friends today that are on Facebook that said they'd never use social media.
Oh yeah,
MySpace and Twitter, and do you Twitter, and what is that? And I'm not doing that. That's scary. And now they're all on there.
I'm so glad to be beyond those days, because this is the version of social that I pictured back then, and now it's here, and now we get to use it, and now we're seeing how it's changed advertising completely. So, I'm a big fan of Mad Men, the show Mad Men.
Yes.
That was an exciting time for advertising, because TV was this new big exciting thing, and you see the whole story of them getting a computer in the later episode.
Took up the whole room.
It took up the whole room, and that was a big exciting time for them. That's the type of advertising that we have had for the last 30, 40, 50 years,
right.
And it was great and innovative at the time. So many brands got on board with it and started using it. What we wound up with was so many marketing messages coming at us as consumers, and ones that were not necessarily relevant to us, because the ability to target specifically was just not there. The best you could do is say, okay, well, this is a cooking channel, so probably people that like to cook. You
generally know who's watching at this hour.
You generally
know. But that's about it.
That's about it. And now with social, it's there's an opportunity for, I think, marketers to change the perception that advertising in general has, and get consumers to stop fast forwarding through commercials with their TiVo. We've created these things to avoid advertising messages, right? Like, we're at the point where we were, a few years ago at least, at the point where we had to come up with technology to avoid advertising messages. Well, now here's, enters social, enters, Facebook with all the very niche and specific targeting abilities that they have. And Facebook can help figure out that just because I'm a, early 30s female doesn't necessarily mean I need diaper advertisements, because Facebook knows I'm not a mom.
Right.
And, the mass media doesn't know that about me. So they can serve me more appropriate messages.
I remember that reminded me of a story. It didn't really have to do with Facebook. Do you remember the Target story where they came up with an algorithm to figure out your purchasing habits, and was able to tell that there was I believe it was a teenager who was pregnant.
Yes.
And they started sending pregnancy offers to the house, and the dad got mad
and
said, "How dare you think my daughter?" And it turned out she was pregnant, and they knew that based on her
her shopping behavior.
She hadn't even bought anything for the baby. It was just a couple product differences, and they automatically knew.
I think it was like vitamins, a certain type of vitamin, and a certain type of shampoo.
They're monitoring all of that and put it two and two together. And started targeting.
And I think it's arguable. Is that using it for evil?
Right.
Because it did cause her grief, of course.
Because she didn't plan on telling her parents, at least not yet, and so they found out pretty quickly.
But hey, it was, to their credit, it was very relevant advertising for her, because they figured out she was in that
I'd say that was the a kink in it, but it worked. It was the overall practice was working. It just, in that case, it got some bad publicity.
It did get a little bit of bad publicity. And there'll be more of that for sure. You know, I'm not going to deny that, but I think we have, as long as we do use it for good, I think that we as marketers have a chance to change consumers' perception of the whole industry by using the targeting that we have available to us. And I hope I see a day where people stop fast forwarding through commercials and they actually want advertising messages, because that's how they're learning about things that they want to know about. And
it's more relevant and interactive for them.
Oh yeah, and as you know, from a corporation standpoint, from a brand standpoint, it's so much more effective. Brands have every incentive to do this right and to do this ethically, because it's going to be more cost effective for them. Like, to put together a bad ad buy, one that's not considering all the different targets, is just so expensive. It's inefficient. You're not reaching the people that you actually need to talk to. There's no incentive for brands to do that.
Right.
It's all about getting in front of the right people. It's always been all about getting in front of the right people. Now we just actually have the tools to do that.
You have more tools to do it, so there's no excuse to be lazy. there's no excuse at all. So when you guys started Social Forces, this was back in 2009, and I remember vividly sitting with you and Carl at I think it was like the Hilton or something, right across the street from my ZFS.
Yeah.
And it feels like a childhood, doesn't it? Like you guys were talking about, you guys were talking about like what you guys were planning, and I was talking about what I was planning, and it was just like all brand new and this new thing with blogging and social media and advertising. And so you fast forward 5 years, it feels like a lifetime in just 5 years, and how much has changed.
Well, the whole industry has grown since then, and we've seen so many. We've been right on the front line there, watching brands' attitudes towards social change, and watching and seeing how what we do does or doesn't work for certain types of brands. And we've been, I think, really fortunate to have been able to experiment enough and figure some of that kind of stuff out, so we could carve out the niche that we're currently in, which is this shopper marketing niche. Working with retailers and consumer product companies to sell more product with specific retailers. That evolved for us pretty naturally in the course of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But it's been exciting to see it.
And you guys have built a fun, I could say, anybody that's interested, you could look them up on Facebook and go to their website. You built a fun company. I gotta say, I think it's I'd want to work here. If I actually wanted a job, I'd want to work here. So I think that says something. I hope. I've seen tubs filled with playpen balls. So what do you call those? We've
got the bathtub ball pit downstairs.
There's tributes to a rooster.
Oh yes, our rooster.
The rooster that was
the late rooster of SOFO. Unfortunately,
Ybor's got quite a few roosters. Well, chickens. There's quite a few roosters, but a lot of chickens. And there's a whole hot sauce I heard.
We made a tribute hot sauce to the late rooster,
dedicated to the rooster. T-shirt, hot sauce. So check out the website at socialforces.com, because you'll see a lot of cool things.
It's cool. There's a lot of really talented and dedicated people behind it too. It's to be a part of something that is so new. It's really exciting, but it comes with a lot of challenges. It comes with a lot of big barrier to entry in terms of education for our clients, and it can be frustrating. And
that's the other side where you have to educate the client before you could ever even do anything.
Oh yeah, that's my whole job.
Yeah,
my whole job is to talk about the why we do the things that we do, and that hey, it's really valid, and hey, it really works.
Yeah.
And
so you guys went from this idea at a lunch table to a full-blown company with employees, and you're working closely with USF. I've seen with interns and working with their advertising students over there to get them some early education in here.
That's great. Yeah, I was last year I was invited to be on the board of advisors for the Zimmerman advertising program up there, so that's been
awesome.
A great relationship for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really cool to see you guys grow, and all from just helping business owners figure this out. I mean, really what it comes down to, because if you're not helping them, you're out of business. So
that's right.
you're essentially helping them, figure this out. So that's been really cool to watch. And for any of the companies, being that it's 5 years now, any of the companies that are looking at this road, they're sitting at the lunch table right now, talking with somebody about their ideas. What advice would you give them as far as getting this going?
Oh, it's it's a wonderful journey. It's a challenging journey. There are so many things to factor in. I think that being flexible is the most important thing. This, though, I love the SOFO that exists today. I wouldn't have been able to fathom the SOFO that exists today 5 years ago. Carl and I had a vague vision of what a social media agency might look like, and it doesn't look like what we have today. But I love what we have today, and it took being flexible and pivoting and
a lot of turns. Yeah,
a lot of turns. A lot of trying things and accepting when things weren't working and changing and pivoting. And there's a point where I feel like we've had 5 different business models, a new one every year, and being okay.
So that is normal. It might be normal.
It might be. That's how it's worked for us, at least.
Because I've been there, and I know friends who've been there, and it's a constant change of what you think is going to work and what you think you're going to do, and then you're shifting to something else. And the good news is it's not failing, though. It's just turning and
it's just
pivoting.
And if anything, it's turning. For us, it's always been turning and finding something more positive, and turning because we saw something more positive, I should say. So we are bootstrapped, completely self-funded, and which has allowed us to pivot and demanded that we pivot. So we've always had to look to what the next marketing, what the next opportunity is within the market, and what our clients are asking for, and what there's really demand for. So we've had to pivot at times to step into that and be of providing a valuable service to our clients.
And that's another great point, because I am constantly emphasizing to business owners and just people who want to get out of anything they're doing and start something. You and Carl were at companies that you felt could be better. You felt there was a better way. And on your own, you went out, started something with no funding, no debt, no big help or sponsorships or any of that, and you started a company with just the two of you from scratch and built it into something where now you're employing other people. And when has there ever been this kind of a prime opportunity to do that on your own and just do your own thing?
It's a different path than the typical startup path, I'd say. It's been the right path for us because we wanted to be able to pivot. We wanted to be able to call the shots. And when you, at least from what I understand, I've never had investors, but my friends that have startups that do, it comes with somewhat of a loss of control at times. There's more people than just the people that have the passion initially to, there's more people in that decision-making process, and you might not get to pivot the way you want to pivot or make take the risky judgment calls.
The wiggle room to do so because of finances or whatever it was that...
Yeah. So it's been a labor of love at times, and it's paying off for us now, for sure.
Yeah. I would definitely say so. It's really cool seeing what you guys have built.
Thanks.
Where do you see, because I know you want to get into the evil thing with social media, how it could be used for evil and it could be used for good, and some of this advertising, and where do you see, one thing I'd love to cover is where do you see social media, because when it's easy, there's a lot of scams, and there's good reasons why Facebook's, tightening down, why Google tightens down on SEO. There's good reasons for that.
Yeah, I think it validates the media itself. It is...
Because it's regulated.
It's valuable, and so because it's valuable, one must pay for it, and there are definitely regulatory things that factor in too. We work with some brands that are extremely concerned about regulation, where the fact that Facebook doesn't allow users under 13 to sign up is not good enough. We still have to age gate the content that we put out there, like pretty strict, regulatory issues, and but I think all of that just validates it as a really useful advertising platform, and we're in it, so we're not put off by that. We pivot, we adjust as necessary, and I'm just seeing more and more interest in it from the larger companies.
The bigger brands
are playing, and it's I'm not going to be able to predict whether it's a bubble or not. I see it becoming more and more valid. I see it in marketing plans. I see it budgeted. To me, it's becoming more of this, like more of the standard.
Still young.
It's still
very young.
It's still young, but it's like it's coming of age. It's you know, it's maybe it's an adolescent at this point.
Maybe an early teen.
Early teens.
Because there's still so much it could be, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I see a bubble. I don't think I could agree that there's maybe a bubble for the freebie stuff.
Maybe a bubble for the freebies. The
free, we just put up this and that, and it works type of thing.
And you know, to be honest, I'm glad free is over, or I think it's over at least. I'll say that. I think free is over. I'm glad because free is questionable. Free is like, you know, people don't value free.
Right.
You know, people, it's human to, when you get something for free, not care about it as much, not pay as much attention to it. So it's great because along with it becoming not free anymore, the tools have gotten so much better. So we can do so much more now.
That might be scary to the smaller businesses because when they hear things like the bigger brands are coming to play, I think there's this concern that there's no room for them. But my gosh, Facebook's enormous, number one, so there's plenty of room. And I think that when it comes to social media, I mean, even with the bigger brands, I don't see it as the equivalent of Walmart opening next to a mom and pop retail store.
Yeah, that's
when the bigger brands come to play on Facebook. I don't see it as Walmart just moved in and your little mom and pop shop's done for. I don't see that.
There's a few things to consider, and I agree with you completely. So, for example, Facebook just made a change with their advertising network. The right hand ads have changed. They're changing they're bigger. It's called the newsfeed format, and there's been, from what we've seen, we're of course very concerned about this and how it's going to affect all of our campaigns. So the cost for impressions on average has more than doubled from this, but the effectiveness has gone up. So we're seeing a lot more click-throughs on those. And Facebook is self-reporting. I don't have data from us yet on this, but Facebook is self-reporting a 300% increase in effectiveness of those ads. So
definitely see them more.
Yeah, you see more.
I've noticed.
And Facebook is acknowledged that because they're bigger, there's less real estate, and that's why the impressions.
Right. Well, and there's also less ads from what I've seen. I've seen it gone from where it's like, it seemed like it was like 4 to 5. Now it's like 2 to 3.
Right, exactly. And so that's why
there's less competition, bigger pictures, and it's still, if you're a local business, in my opinion, it's still a great time because even though free's gone, we've helped people set up ads for $1 a day.
Yeah.
And that's all it costs them is $30 a month to hit their target market, ideally. I mean, to the point where they could say, we want 22 and up, own a home, make $50,000 or more, and like this certain, they like outdoor sports.
Just try and do that with radio.
Yeah, for $1 a day.
It's not gonna happen.
and even with the bigger ads, you can still reach, I mean, let's say you only got 1,000 impressions a day versus 3,000. If you're a local business, I'd say you're still getting pretty good, bang for your buck on $1 a day.
I think so, and it's so relevant to that consumer too. So,
and then the bigger ones, I mean, there's such a broad scale. You got the big brands like Coca-Cola. They're gonna have the budget, but who's competing with local Coca-Cola? If you're starting a new soda, you're in trouble probably anyway. So that's a whole other ballgame.
I'm not going to comment on any of this.
These local businesses, I don't think they have to worry about the bigger brands coming into play because it's a completely different world.
It's different.
It's just
and they're
a different
targeting
world.
Different.
Yeah.
They're not going after the same exact consumer base.
Yeah, there's plenty of space, and there's plenty. I think it's the right time because it'll get more expensive. It's going to have to.
As it gets better, it will.
Yeah, so they're going to have to. It is prime time. I'm definitely in agreement with that. I think it's not just the time to be free, but just prime time to start using the ad and or even to learn how to use the free right, because that's the other side. Is a lot of people go on Facebook, and what I tell business owners is I say, look, you are the guy who, I'm sure you heard the cocktail party analogy. I use it all the time. I don't remember who started that, but I always say, look, picture it as a cocktail party, and most businesses I talk with, they're the guy that's walking around handing out their business card at a cocktail party.
Yeah.
You are the guy that we're going to avoid.
Right.
That person, I don't want anything to do with you, okay? But the person that comes in with a cool story and something cool to show and does a magic trick, you know, a good icebreaker,
it's so cool.
That guy or girl's surrounded.
Yeah, and Facebook hasn't killed organic reach. It's just decreased it. And hey, if you see something, if you put up something, if you have, you know, if you have your magic trick post and you see that it's gotten a good amount of organic reach, there's an opportunity to get more guaranteed reach for that. It just costs a few bucks.
Boost it even more.
Yeah.
So what would be your advice right now for any business, small, medium, large, heading into this new, how this is going? What would be your biggest tips for them going into looking at Facebook?
I think, well, one of the challenges that I hear from businesses of all sizes is where to enter, what network to enter on. So it's tempting to go into all of them. And now especially we're talking dollars, not just time. It's, I think, more important to pick a channel to focus on or a couple channels to focus on instead of spreading yourself really thin, because now everybody's got advertising opportunities. Well, or soon they will. Instagram's still in beta. But now more than ever, I think it makes sense to focus on what you can reasonably take on. And even for big brands, a lot of times that's just one channel at first. And that's fine. That's fine. Own that channel.
Yeah,
do something
that's really
great
good
in that
advice.
channel.
I've seen a lot of them go after too many channels, and then they're burnt out and not getting any return.
Yeah.
And they're giving up. When if they had just focused on the largest network out there, they could have put all that up, 5 times the effort in, and maybe seen a return already.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's tempting. I know it's tempting, and it's tempting for not just the small businesses, but the big ones too. You know, maybe even especially. But this is the same advice that I give to the Fortune 500s that I work with also, because they have the same issues. They haven't. A lot of them. Well, some of them have, but a lot of them haven't really mastered the that one core channel first. So it's a growing experience for everybody. And by all means, if you have gotten something out of your main focus channel, let's start experimenting in one of the newer, more exciting, more innovative channels. But
yeah, I mean, it's going to be the same principle. It's just a matter of time and fine tuning, and there's no cookie cutter. You know, I would say there's no cookie cutter way to do it, but it does take time, effort, and you know, be the fun person at the party.
And then the other thing, which relates back to what we were just talking about, as far as, you know, no more, it's not free anymore. Budget for it, you know, like both budget, time and resources, but also it needs to be an item on your marketing budget. You need to have some cash to put behind it, whether it's promotions and sweepstakes or ads, or like it needs a line item because it's not going to be effective at this point if it doesn't have that.
Right. So pick a channel, own it, make sure you get the budget, which is good stuff there. And we've already talked about some of the benefits. I don't think there's a bubble. You don't think there's a bubble. The free bubble, I think we could agree there's a free bubble.
Yeah.
That's
done.
That's happening. I don't think there's going to be a new network out there. And you guys do a lot with Facebook, but what do you think about, I mean, Twitter's getting into the ad space now. I've heard a lot of cool things about what they're doing. Are you guys doing any of that yet with...
We are not doing anything with that yet, but it'll just be a matter of the right opportunity coming up and us getting into that. I'm really excited about Instagram ads because Instagram, of course, is owned by Facebook now. I know that they have been in beta for a while. I hope they start to release
It's like Gmail was in beta 10 years.
Yeah, right. I am hopeful that some of the thinking that went into putting together the Facebook ad platform has gone into putting together the Instagram platform, because that would be really exciting.
Do you think they might merge at some point or always be separate? What does your gut tell you?
Oh, I think it would be a shame to merge right now.
Right.
You know, maybe if things are different in a few years, maybe it would make sense. But right now, I think it'd be a waste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good network. I mean, it's obviously the photo sharing, and there's a lot of celebrities on there using it on a constant basis, and they get a lot of reaction out of their post on there, and much more than even on Facebook. Sometimes some of these guys have just got a huge Instagram really following. Cool. So
there's a different culture. There's a different Instagram culture than Facebook, and I think that as long as that's a positive culture, as long as there are things like that happening where you're seeing celebrities getting more attention on Instagram than Facebook.
It's kind of why Facebook bought them, right? They were kind of worried about the
reports
of how people were shifting to more just photo sharing than
they were, and also Facebook was concerned about the younger millennial and younger generations.
Right.
A lot of them and are very active on Instagram. Facebook, despite different reports, Facebook is still where most teens are interacting.
Yeah.
It still has the largest.
I don't get it when I
penetration.
hear that they. I don't get it when I see a report that says that kids aren't Facebooking.
It's incorrect.
I don't.
I'll send you all the ComScore data to prove that wrong.
I don't know. I don't have like the research on it. I'm just looking around and talking to people and hearing what they're saying, and I think there's like, for one, you get teenagers, right? Well, you got 5 years that you could be on it, so from 13 and up. But not only that, it's just there's a little bit of a gap that you would expect with anything. But I don't think it means that they're not going to be. Mm-hmm. I just think it means it's not ready for them yet, but they'll get there. And I think Instagram will bring them in.
Probably, but even then, it's still Instagram it's sexy and it's fun to talk about, and you see your friends using it a lot. But the data is the truth, and the truth is there's still a lot more use of Facebook from millennials than Instagram at this point. They just don't have the user. Instagram doesn't have the user base yet compared to Facebook.
And what else did you want to, before we're about 30 minutes, which is cool, what else did you want to, I know you mentioned you wanted to talk a little bit about some of the evil versus good, which we discussed a little bit of, because there is some creepiness that comes with targeting too much, because you can really creep out your audience.
You can be, and I think that as consumers, it's partly there's two things here. One, as marketers, we need to make sure that we're behaving ethically, and we're trying hard to use these tools to reach the people that we really want to reach, because we have a product or service that we know that they are predispositioned to want. But then as consumers, I think that an openness to receiving targeted messages is the other half of that, and having a vision for the future and knowing that this is the way I'm going to start receiving messages that I want to hear, and go and having a profile on Facebook and saying, I have a dog, therefore maybe I would like to get dog food advertising, or little things like that, and being okay with that, knowing that this is the future of the industry, and that the majority of marketers do have good intentions.
It's kind of like an educational element to, there's especially like concerns about the NSA and loopholes in your iPhone and all these things, and then all of a sudden you see this targeted ad and you're thinking, how did they know that? And then it gets worse, because there's I don't know the exact name of it, but like when you're looking, there's a scientific term for this, when you're looking for a certain car, all of a sudden you start noticing that car everywhere. If you're about to buy a Honda Odyssey, you'll start seeing Honda Odysseys everywhere. Right. Well, the population of Honda Odysseys did not increase around you. You're just noticing them more. And sometimes that happens on our ads. We'll talk about something. I'll talk about things off, like with a friend at a Starbucks, and the next day I see an ad for it. And even that gets kind of creepy, like, wait a second.
Yeah, there's no microphones in Starbucks that caused
Starbucks and Facebook are collaborating, and somehow heard me say that and put an ad. But
we're not there yet, technology-wise.
It's really just that I now notice it because we talked about it. And so there's still a lot of creepiness to it. And even if you're doing it for good, it seems like you could really, like Target, mess up and inadvertently creep somebody out.
Well, I hope that as we, both in lobbying efforts and just general education, I hope that we as marketers can explain the consumer benefit to this behavioral and psychographic targeting to consumers a little bit better than we have, because I really do believe the benefit's there, and it's an exciting benefit.
It'd be kind of nice if it was like, they're in a Super Bowl. You don't want to miss the commercials. And like you were saying, eventually we want to get to a point where nobody wants to miss a commercial. Because it is so geared towards them, and it is fun and exciting. And the Super Bowl's done that. They've created people go to the bathroom after the commercial sometimes. And if you can create that in all over on everyday TV, imagine that, that capability. And I don't think it's far-fetched to say it's very close to where you'll be able to do that. It's very
close. I think we're that is the next phase.
Smartwatches coming and all kinds of different things. Wearable technologies coming, and So I can't say a bubble as far as, like I said, a bubble as far as social media not being any more effective. I think it's only going to get better.
It's going to get more
targeted and really more fun for marketers.
Oh yeah.
Regardless of your business size. I think that's so. Well, I think that's it. Unless you wanted to cover anything else, you have any more advice for anybody? That's a good point to wrap it up. I think it was fun. It was great to be here. I'm going to put pictures on the website on this post. So anybody that goes to the website, you can just search for Kate Whatley or Social Forces, and you'll be able to find this podcast. But you can also find them at socialforces.com, and you can probably find their social media profiles from there. But I think it's facebook.com/socialforces probably.
You got it.
Or as they like to call themselves, SOFO.
Yeah, SOFO.
You can learn about the Rooster and the hot sauce, I believe, on there, and there's some T-shirts for sale. And just a really cool place. It's really cool coming down here and just seeing the office. And glad you took the time with us to get us some better perspective on social media.
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for coming.
We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Top of the Wall podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the great episodes coming up for you. For more resources and tools to take your business to the top, visit redwallmarketing.com.